Hey everybody, welcome to our YouTube call today. Nice to see you. Hey Doug, how are you doing?
Good. It's a Monday. How are you doing?
I am fantastic for a Monday. Feels awesome. I was noticing Bitcoin is having a nice little run right now. I say nice little, not so nice because I didn't jump in, yesterday or over the weekend, set up a grid Bitcoin so that I could take advantage of this nice, almost 4% run this morning. But you know
Right.
what? It's all good. I know you have a Bitcoin grid. So have you?
Yeah. I think all my Bitcoin have closed out, and I don't think I caught where we currently are. So let me share my screen. And great
All right.
question. And
Excellent.
share screen. This is BNB. Yes. Look at Bitcoin here. All right. So all my Bitcoin have sold in profit.
Well,
That looks
that's
nice.
good. Yeah, that
That's
looks, I like
pretty.
all the green.
I
Beautiful.
like all the green too. Yeah. And I have 0 open trades. I have 2 pending. And let's look at edit. My pullback rule. See, we played around. I set a custom.
Well,
And
ooh, yeah, that looks
so I
like,
haven't gotten into any trades based on that custom. I was probably demoing or teaching something. And so now I need to look at that and say, is that really what I want? So let's do that. Let's do that real
okay.
quick. Okay.
Excellent.
So I clicked on Bitcoin. So it should be the Bitcoin chart. It is a Bitcoin. Yeah. Look at that, Deb. So because I did a custom, it looks like I just missed the ballback. But anyways, that's okay. It's only a trade. Let's see here. How far did it pull
Yeah,
back?
what is the range here? Curious.
5. So it would have missed the standard, which is around 6.5. So it would have missed standard. I would have had to been on a custom with a tighter range, or I would have had to been on aggressive.
Yeah,
And
aggressive.
aggressive, would have would have started tracking. So aggressive would have very close. May have caught this one, but I think it probably would have missed it. It's
Mhm.
very, very close. Hard to say. Anytime it's right at the very max range of what it needs to be to catch, I find that, trading doesn't work that way. So it probably would have caught down here. If not, it would have caught up here and I don't think we would have got out of that one in profit yet. I say it would have had to catch it really literally at the very bottom
Right.
for the aggressive to work. Um, and it would have had to nail it. Would not have gotten out of this one in profit. So we would have been in this one if we had used just standard aggressive. And then if we had any kind of cost averaging, I don't think it would have triggered cost averaging, but it would have triggered the second trade right here. So it would have not gotten in on the down, would have gotten in probably on this candle here for
Yeah.
sure. And so it would have triggered right there. And so we would be in 2 trades, and the one trade would be up in a little bit of profit, and the other one would be setting just a little bit negative. So, okay, so that's what I potentially missed out on, or I could say because I was deep in the market, I wanted to stay at a custom to wait and see what the market was going to do. And at that point, then I have the options to now adjust because I've got this push up, I've got a stabilization, got another push trying to happen. So now I can say, okay, I want to adjust my entry levels, right?
Mhm.
And I can say that I can look at this current range is around 5%. I could say, I don't want to be maybe at conservative and I don't want to be at standards. Conservative is around 3.5. Our standard entry is around 6.5. So maybe I do want to have a custom, but maybe I want to do 5%, Deb, or something like that. I can look at these other pullbacks. I know they're not as much as 5. They're 4, 7. Okay. And let's just look here. What happened? Wow, I've never seen it do that. Let me refresh it. It moved my charts down to the lower part of the indicator section.
Yeah, it did. That was kind of
You
different.
can do that on TradingView, where you can line up your indicators with your charts. You can move them, and I just grabbed it wrong and did that.
Well,
So
now we know
I
it can be
didn't.
done. Even
Well, I didn't
in
know
nSights,
ours would do it. I know
right?
TradingView does
Right. We know it can
that.
be done in nSights now.
Uh,
That's a perk.
you
We can
know,
figure out how to do it and how to get it back.
I was just on vacation. Well, not vacation. I was at my grandkids. I work all the time, but um, we're coming back from, we went to like Painted Earth to paint with the kids and stuff. We're coming back, and I'm trying to open up my sunroof for the kids to get the moon, and stuff at night. So my daughter decides to help, and she pulls down this tab and presses this button, and it calls 911. And 911 answers, and it says, "What's your emergency?" And I
Oh,
said, "I don't have one. My daughter
I
hit
don't
a
know how.
button in my car and it called you." And it was my daughter, not me, right? And so I went through this and said, I had to give her my name. But
Oh
so
no.
it's kind of like that. We're finding things that this will do, like my car. So, anyways, it
Did
was
you tell them you didn't know how to operate the sunroof?
right.
What is
I
your
I
what
didn't
is your
want to. I didn't.
problem?
I didn't want to be that stupid, but and it's like, okay, I found out things that my car will do that I didn't know they will do,
Right.
and so it was a good trip. I learned. So
Yep.
this is a good good lesson too. All right, so let's look at our pullback ranges here, just so we can customize something. Now this is rolling over into down pressure, but the thing I am going to do is kind of measure before it kind of tried to get some up pressure, 4%, right? This one here happens to be 4.36% too. This one here, before it started going up, get it on right on about that high, just right at the 4%. So, and this one is a little bit less. So it looks like, maybe 4% might be a decent range. There's 4, there's 4. There's a little bit more than 4, but 4 would have definitely triggered. So you guys can see what I'm doing. I'm kind of getting a feel for the psychology of this market, where it likes that pullback. When it was in the down pressure, I wanted to be a little bit more conservative and make it come to me. Probably if I was really trading this right, once it made a new high here, kind of got to the base of this, and we pushed to a new high here, I probably should have adjusted this before we got here. But if you're not watching, you're not watching. If you don't mind cost averaging, the way the system works, you just go ahead and set up a tighter range, and you know that you're going to get in and you're going to be in the game, and then you cost average accordingly. So, and you set up your trade sizes accordingly. So anyway, so I'm going to adjust this, Deb, and we'll see what happens from here. So I was going to do around 5%, but I really measured those, and 3.5 is our, so if I look at this, our pullback rules, 3.5 is our aggressive.
Mm-hmm.
If I wanted to make sure I get in, I'd probably do that. But I want to continue to play with custom because we just measured that. So I'm going to go 4% here, just a 0.5% more. Not a big deal, right? It's just for teaching and learning and showing how things work, right? If I was really wanting to get in this trade, I would do aggressive and then use the money management to manage it, and not miss out on the trade, because we're beginning to try to shift maybe and go up. Then if it does roll over and go down again, then I got a chance to make more decisions, right? I got maybe before it gets into that second trade, I can make more decisions, and I can make sure that in fact, let's do this. Let's
Mhm.
just do it.
Let's do it.
I'm gonna go aggressive. Let me get back out of this. I'm gonna go aggressive. Okay. Pullback rule. I'm gonna go aggressive. Okay. And I have two trade lines. I'm still not sure, thinking as a trader, maybe, right? I'm still not sure if the down pressure is done. So, but it's showing that we're making slightly new highs. We're breaking the prior pullback little barriers. We can see that trying to step its way up. Okay. So, okay, I'm willing to risk one trade at aggressive to get me in if it pulls back. What I'm not willing to do is chase the trade. I'm not willing to jump in right here because I'm really close to this top and this top. If I jump in here, then you know I got to manage it differently if we break, if we don't break up and we pull down. So I'm still going to make the trade come to me. Okay. But I'm going to be aggressive about it. And then if it rolls over and breaks this low, and this is my trigger, right? Because I'm gonna set this up so it can't take advantage of me if I'm not watching this thing. Okay. So if it rolls over, comes down and hits this from where we are right now at the high, this is 6% from the high. Okay. So it should probably trigger it. Right now I am 3%. So if it starts pulling back at all, gets down into that 4% range, then it should start looking for that buy pressure again and try to get me in. Now, if it starts dropping and I don't have any buy pressure, then it'll follow it down to wherever it finds that buy pressure. It could be 11% down, even though I set up that aggressive 3.5% entry. So it's going to still it's going to follow the rules. It's still going to look for buy pressure. But if it does come back down in here, finds that buy pressure around that 4% level, I'm going to be in the trade. But what I don't want to do again is have it at 4% from here, buy again. So here's what I'm going to do. Okay. I'm going to go in here. And I'm going to, first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to edit and I'm going to go to pullback lines. Okay, and I can see I have two. Now to keep this from executing that second trade at aggressive, I'm going to delete one of them. So I only have one line for it to do that aggressive pullback. Once it's entered that aggressive pullback, I might come back in here then and adjust the new line that I add back in at a custom or a standard or a deeper range that gets me in if Bitcoin decides to roll over again and test the bottom. Okay, so I'm just being a little conservative in my second entry, but aggressive in my first entry. Does that make sense, Deb?
Yeah, and the only other way that that you could do this is after that first trade is taken. So after we get a 4% pullback and that trade is taken, then you can come in and you can turn off your buys or
Right.
do something like that. But what Doug is saying is a lot of times we're not watching. We're not watching our nSights. We have nSights so that we don't have to sit and watch the market. So this is a great way to just make sure you don't get some kind of second trade on an aggressive down, where you're
Yeah.
not just 4%, but now you're 8% down, and you've got two trades so close together like that. A lot of times we don't want them like that. So this is a great way to do it when you don't want to sit and watch the market.
Yeah, you may be in bed dreaming about pina colada in Hawaii or something,
Right, right.
and then you wake up and you're in two trades and you go, I didn't want
I
that.
didn't want that.
Yeah.
That's not exactly what I was going for. Yep.
Right.
Believe me, we've
Okay.
all been in that.
A place more than we want to be.
Yep, sure have. So
Okay. So
It's
we
good
can
to
see
go
this
over these
says,
tips and tricks for sure.
yeah. So this says 1 now, not 2. Okay. And I have no trade. So now, since I deleted that one line, so it only has 1 to work with. It shows 1 right there. It only has 1 to work with. And I'm going to go in here. I'm going to hit edit again. Now I'm going to go to my rules and I'm going to change to aggressive. Okay. So now I'm at 3.5%. If it drops down, it's going to get me potentially in that trade. If it drops lower, right? Let's look what will happen with the new trades. It will not take any new trades if it goes lower because it's only got 1 trade to work with. But, okay, if it does go lower, I'm still not out of the game, right? Because I have my cost averages on automatic and I have this set to 15% drop. Do I want 15% drop right now? Because we're starting to show some up pressure. So here's what I'm willing to do with this. So I'm not willing to take a second new trade until I adjust my entry. But if I'm in bed dreaming about Hawaii and pina coladas, right, and it does drop, I do want my cost averaging to take effect on that first trade, the one trade that I am taking. So I only have 1 that I'm doing. So I'm going to adjust this to, well, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to go measure, right? I'm going to do this correctly. So let's say I got in somewhere in this area where I think I'm going to get in. And to the bottom is about 13 to 15%. I break this low, which is at 7. Okay, so let's do this. Let's work with this barrier, 7% from roughly about where the trade may take place if it does execute. Okay, 7%. Okay, so now let's go set this up correctly. All right. I'm trying to get in the game.
I love it. I love that you're
Uh,
going through all of these steps so that you can really think about how to manage these trades before they even take place. You know,
right.
it's better to have a, I mean, you have to have a plan, right, Doug?
But you have to have a plan, right? And we'll look at desired profit too, because if we're turning to up pressure, maybe I'm not going for enough profit.
Mhm.
Okay. So there's a lot here for me to potentially think about. But if I'm really just going, point, going through it, I can do it in less than a minute, right? I could just go through, measure, and hit the numbers. I'm done and go back to drinking and dreaming about pina coladas, whatever, right? So, all right. So let's go to cost average. And I'm going to set up trail buy.
Ooh.
And I have it set at 10%. 7% was the number. So I'm going to actually adjust this to 8%, 1% below that 7, that range I measured, and I'm going to make it a 1% difference. So if it hits 8, it's going to start tracking it back at 7, right? And every time the market drops, it will drop with it until the market turns around and comes back to that 1% above wherever the market is. It goes all the way down to 20%, comes back up to 19%, it's going to execute this trade. If it goes to 8%, comes back up to 7 where its current barrier is, it's going to execute this trade. But if it blows through that barrier, goes down to 10, 11, 12%, right? This is going to follow that down, all the way down until the last number the market hits, wherever that number is, say $60,000 or $59,000 on Bitcoin. As soon as it hits that number and bounces back up 1%, then it'll execute this trade. And I got it set at 75. I'm going to set it at 50 because I may want to do it again. So right now I've got it set up to do 1 time. I got it set up to do a trail buy, and I'm happy with all that. And let's hit update. So now I've deleted 1 trade where it won't take 2 new trades. It'll take 1 trade, but I've adjusted more aggressively for the cost averaging to get me in within the current range that it's potentially trading in, the current bottom, the current pullback ranges were, between the bottom and the top where we are now, where those ranges were. I'm kind of analyzing the market and all of those pieces of the puzzle, saying, okay, if this kind of plays out again, kind of flows the way that it's been flowing, I have a good chance to at least get in my first trade and make profit, or get in my first trade and a cost averaging to get more money in and make profit. But again, we're talking about being at a low point in the market, and there's potentially a bigger up move that I can make money on. So let's go back and look at the last thing that we need to look at here, which is under edit. We're going to look at my desired profit, which is 4.2. So let's go back, look at the chart one more time. Okay. So if I get just here, if I just get the one trade, and I got to measure from the bottom up now for the pullback, I'm measuring the top. I'm putting this dot to the top side and this one to the downside to get the pullback ranges. But when I look at trying to make my profit, I got to reverse that process. I got to move this one down to where I think I'm going to get in. Then I got to measure back up to where it's been and say, okay, if I just get into this and it only goes back to here, that's 5.64%. Okay. If I think Bitcoin is in up pressure now and this could break, then I got 10% to here. And this gets me back to that 66,000 number. But the 68,000, 70,000 number is, high. Okay. Gets me really back up into some high ranges. So, and that's 19% up. I'm not really interested in selling my Bitcoin unless I, make some decent profit. I don't want to be greedy, but I don't want to be lackadaisical either about trying to decide what I want to do. So I'm like in that 12, 13% range. If I come down here, it really becomes a 16% range. So I'm going to adjust my profitability, and I can always go in and change this, right? I can always go close the trade manually. I can see what the market's going to do. If it comes up, looks like it's hitting a barrier and it's stalling out, I can make a decision, right? I got the power to decide, oh, it's up 8%, it's hitting a barrier, it's stalling out. Okay, I'll take the 8% and close the trade. Or just leave it alone, let the system manage it, let it go to whatever percentage I choose. And when it hits that percentages, no matter how long that takes, it'll close out. I'll make that money. Okay. So let's go back down here. And I'm going to adjust this one more time. I've done all my figuring, and I'm just going to say 13%. And I'm going to update.
Nice.
Okay. So now I've changed everything. You can see this number here says 13 now, right there. And I'm in the game. I'm trying to get in the game. I'm setting myself up to get in the game. And then we'll see what happens. Maybe we'll look at this on Wednesday.
Right.
Yeah, I like it too. I like, where it's at. I love all the green. So,
Yeah,
we'll just
now's a really good time to remind everybody that this channel is for educational purposes only. So never trade with money that you can't afford to lose, because there's no guarantee in anything. And like what Doug just did, I mean, it's important to remember. So he is not in a trade at this moment, right? He is saying if, and it's a big, giant if the market comes down 4% from where it is, from where it is at the top of the last high, the peak price, if it comes down 4%, then he'll be in this trade. Now it's already down past that 4%, but still the system has to hit that second rule, which is it has to have some up pressure. It has to feel like the intent is to start it has to drop first, and then it has to turn around and start that up pressure in order for him to just get into this trade. So it's important that we understand that piece as well. And what I love about the way Doug teaches and shows us and the way you trade, Doug, is it doesn't matter if you don't get into that trade because he'll get into the next one, guys. Like
Right.
if it runs right now, it's going to come back. If it runs right now, that peak price is going to follow the market up. It's just going to follow the market up until it has some that pullback and then a little bit of up pressure. So you can't lose. You can lose if you're trading with money that you can't afford to lose, right? That's a bit,
Right.
you don't want to do those kinds of things. The other thing, when I said, there are other ways to do what I do, when I'm wanting to get into a trade and then I'm curious about that second trade. When I'm watching the market, when that first trade is taken, I don't turn off my buys. I misstated that in the beginning. I don't turn off my buys unless something crazy is happening with the market. But what I do is I go in and I change my rule to conservative. I just
Right.
change it to conservative and I let it ride. Just let some things happen in the market. Let it just kind of flow. And I'll go peek at it in a little bit and see if I want to change that. So I just wanted to put that out there that I don't turn off my buys very often when I'm in a grid. There are times to do that, but you can definitely play with your rules just like Doug did. This was an excellent training on your Bitcoin grid this morning, Doug. Excellent.
Oh, thanks, Deb. Okay, I want to show one other thing. Mine's a Delarnia. I moved out to buy other verse tokens, UTHIX tokens, and I don't have any trades here. No trades closed. Nothing happened here other than I took the money out of here and went and bought tokens. I don't, and just to kind of show you this, and I don't plan on trading Mines of Delarnia maybe for a while. And if I do, maybe I open up another grid, but I have no history here. Where if I have trades with history, I don't want to do this. I want to leave these grids alone, even though, like in this case, I did pause the buy here and I paused the buys here where Deb says she doesn't do this. I did this teaching you guys, and normally I wouldn't do this either. I'd make sure that I stayed in the game by doing what Deb said, where I adjusted how aggressive or conservative I would want to be in the entries. But if there was a coin that I decided I never wanted to trade again and I had no trades on it, I would archive it. If I have trades on it, I don't want to archive it because I want to use these trades when I start trading again to make sure I'm tracking all my profitability correctly for that coin. And if I archive it, I archive the profitability, but then I lose the ability to understand the true profitability of this because I'm using the same money over and over again. When I start a new grid, it thinks it's new money and it won't calculate your profitability the same. So anyways, if you have closed trades and there's a possibility that at some point in the future you may trade Filecoin again, don't do this. If you never plan on trading it again, and especially if you have no sold trades, then this is to kind of clean up this list. You just come over here and you want to delete it, which archives it. Okay, it'll put it in a different section. So I'll delete it. It tells you, all of these things, right? And I'm not converting to other verse, right? I already did that. And I'm just hitting delete. Let's see if that is successful. And it is. And it's gone. Now, if I go here to deleted trades, I can always see it here. Okay, these are ones I've deleted in the past in training. I can see it here, but and it has, if it had trades here, I'd be able to see them too. Like, I don't know if any of these have. Yeah, this had a closed trade. I can see that trade here. Okay, but it's been deleted and it's it's dead, dead to me, so to speak. Okay. All right. So, those are the two things. I want to go back to live. Okay. On Friday, if you missed the Friday call, hopefully you listen to the replay. I talked about the ability to be part of the beta testing for Otherverse. And in that replay, I told you guys that you needed to reach out to Candace to give Candace your email address, because I want to get you in a beta list that is not currently set up and going yet, because I'm trying to get my beta going, and they still have things in their software in those links that I think are not quite working right. I'm working with Don this morning on those, because it's not our group, it's another group that's actually doing that part of it, I believe, because I haven't seen anything on the programmer's task list, at least the ones I manage, that are building this part. Now, Don may have that somewhere else and is doing that, and I don't know, but I think it's another group that's doing that. But anyways, on the Friday call, if you listen to the replay, I told you guys to send that to Candace. Candace would keep the list, and when we have everything ready, then we'll get you guys signed up. The goal is to try to get about 100, 200 people into beta testing, so that, you know, we can really begin to show this to some potential clients that are excited about Otherverse and stuff. And the last thing I want to share is this, and then we'll end on this. And this is a tragic note. I broke the head off of one of my golf clubs, and I called the golf company, and they're no longer supporting this club. He told me I could go get a replacement on eBay and stuff. This is a practice club. I love the club. It's a practice club, and it hits really nice. I like the way it hits. And they're actually closing down their business. They got bought out by one of the large retail golf companies. And I said, you know, I like their clubs. And I said, I'm really sorry you guys are shutting back down. They shut down, they relaunched, now they're shutting back down again. And I said, I understand. I said, I got 4 crypto companies I own and manage and stuff. And he says, I'm into crypto. I said, what do you own? so I went through it and talked to him about Otherverse, right? So he's sending me an email. He wants to be an investor in Otherverse. He would like, you know, he's just sold his company. He wants to be an investor in Otherverse. He wants to buy a bunch of tokens and stuff. And that was super easy to do with this guy. And I'm going to give you guys one more example of how to bless people, right? Mary and I were just traveling to California. We stopped in the Tehachapis, which is about 7 hours from our house, to spend the night. And when we stopped at the hotel, a nice hotel, we're in the back part. By the front back door, there was 2 African-American gentlemen. And, you know, they were hovering around the door, which in some ways was very uncomfortable for Mary and I both, because they were, you know, they were doing the hand signs and the kind of the gang talk and all of that stuff. And the one guy was all tattooed up, and, you know, it just gives you an uncomfortable feeling. But we were okay. I took Mary up to the room, told her I'd need to go back down and get the stuff. She said, I'll go with you. I said, no, you won't, because I couldn't protect her or me. It felt that uncomfortable, right? I come down, I get one of the suitcases. Sure enough, I'm coming back to the room. The shorter guy, the one with all the tattoos, kind of confronts me, right? In a non really aggressive way, but yet it was really a confrontation where he was. And the question is that he asked me, and I'll try to get this all right. He says, do you see a difference in the color of our skin? And I said, no, I don't. And I don't. I truly don't. My grandfather was American Indian, right? Grew up on the Oklahoma Cherokee Reservation. And my great grandmother's full-blooded Cherokee. My great grandfather was half Cherokee and half something else. We don't know what his other half was, right? So I have a lot of American heritage, American Indian in me, and I don't try to see color, right? And we started talking. We ended up talking a half an hour, and I had to go up to the room. I told him I had to go up to the room because I knew Mary was getting worried. I ended up making 4 trips. Time I got done with those 4 trips, to keep this short, I ended up asking the 2 guys, and Leonard was a taller guy, right? I said, are you guys into crypto? They said, Leonard goes, I want to be. I can't figure it out. Doug,
Oh,
now they
awesome.
know my name, right? And we've been talking that long, probably 2 hours. Okay.
Mhm.
Lot of life stuff. The shorter guy that was more confrontational just got out of prison for 4 years for assault with a deadly weapon. Okay. So I was reading the energy right. They just didn't know who I was yet. Okay. And Leonard goes, no, I want to be. I said, well, there's a company called Otherverse. We're just in pre-launch. I said, here's my phone number. I gave Leonard my phone number. He
Awesome.
put it in his phone immediately. The other guy, I want to call him Reggie. I know it's not Reggie, and he's going to hear this and he's going to go, Doug doesn't remember my name. I'm sorry, brother. I'll get it. Just having a mental block right now. He started calling his girlfriend that he has 4 children with, right? He says, here, talk to this guy. And he hands me the phone and I'm talking to her. And she's depressed because she just lost her dog. And I know it's a long story, right? But we broke down all social barriers.
Mhm.
We broke it all down. And they both have my phone number. And when I left that morning, I put a note on their windshield. Hey, guys, super nice to meet you. And
Nice.
they texted me as soon as they got in their truck. Doug, super nice to meet you.
Excellent.
So I went from a golf company owner to inner city, and the one gentleman said, yes, Doug, I'm a member of the Crips. They're my family. And I said, I understand. I said, we all have our lives, right? But there doesn't need to be any tension between
Mhm.
you and I
Mhm.
at all. We can be brothers. So
I love it. I
so
love it.
you can talk to anybody about this. This is my
Yes.
point.
Yes,
Okay.
but we don't have a long time to be getting people into pre-sale type
Correct.
pricing, Doug. So what do
It's
we know
going
about
away.
that?
It is going away. I don't know the date yet. I do know that at least the last conversation I had, which was like Saturday, I think, Friday or Saturday, it's going away. And I think I'll have at least a week's notice to let everybody know that it's going away. But there's a lot of people, and I told Mary when I got done, and even the guy I talked to today, he just sold his company. He tried to relaunch and it failed, right? In both cases, I believe so much in Otherverse, and it may not work. I can't guarantee it, but I believe so much in Otherverse that in both of those cases, I believe I'm going to change both of those people's lives
Yeah.
for the better.
Yeah.
That's how much I believe in it. So, you know, you can choose, to be a difference in the world. And just by you investing in Otherverse and buying coins, you're going to be a difference in the world because you're going to have more income and more money to help and bless people with. But there's many ways that we can change the world, and it starts one person at a time, is what I believe.
Yeah.
So,
I love
anyways,
that. I love it. I
didn't
love
mean
it.
to get on my soapbox, Dan.
No, it's great. It was a great story. So I want to say hi to everybody who's online with us. We've got Jeff and Perry and Candace and Gary, and we've got Kathy. And Kathy says, if we're already in Otherverse, do we need to submit our name to Candace? So what I think she means is she's already got the Axion browser, but that's been updated, right? Axion is, am I
That's been
saying that?
updated, and if you want to be in the beta test section of it, I would say yes.
Yes.
If you think that you're already in Otherverse because you bought tokens, you're not. You just own tokens, right? But if you've already done the download and stuff, then you still let her know that you want to be a beta tester, right? And then she can make sure Sharona and the right people, when we got that path understood, and I don't know that we have that total path understood yet because it's not working for me.
Right.
Okay. So right now, if you listen to the Friday call, all I said was send Candace your email and let her know that you want to be in the beta test. That was it. And then from there, we'll get a hold of you guys and tell you everything that you need to do. And we'll probably hold a special Zoom call to make sure it happens. So,
Yeah. So
okay.
even if you were a part of it in February, when you actually went in and you got your avatar and all of that, go ahead, please do contact Candace and so that you can get back on the list. That's what Doug is saying right now. So
Yeah.
awesome.
And to be clear, guys, we're doing our best. We're playing it by ear also, because there's things on the other side that we don't know. We're just trying to make sure we got you guys in a list so that when I do know and we have all the information, we can act. Okay. But we can't act until then because it's still, I'm having problems. So not that I'm the smartest utensil in the toolbox, but if I can't get it to install or do what I want it to do, then there's issues somewhere.
Yeah.
Maybe
Yeah.
it's just me, Deb.
I'm starting to question it, but we'll see. We'll
Yeah.
figure it out, Doug.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Well, excellent.
All
Great
right.
call today. Great training on that Bitcoin grid. I'm really excited. In fact, the piece you gave on the trailing buy, the way that anyway, I'm going to go cut that as part of our training because it was really, really good. So really appreciate you, Doug.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate y'all. Everybody have a great day. We'll see you on Wednesday, Deb.